need to earn humanity. We need to learn to live with people. Once you're in a relationship, just know hauko peke yako, mmekuwa watu wawili sasa. So naona ile wakati unataka kuachana na mtu unafaa kwenda kumwambia pole pole.
Before you go to asking him or her, do you have money or this or that? Probably they are suffering from something from the inside, but they can't open up to because you don't want to ask them that. Some of the children won't wait to tell you. They'll wait for you to ask them before they open up.
Hi. Niliamua nikaandika a suicidal note. Then nilikuwa nimeamua hiyo siku lazima nijitoe tu kwa hii familia juu siwezi endelea tu hivi, like bado sijapata mtu wa kuongelesha hii shida yangu.
In this 21st century, Kenya has been struggling to lower and prevent suicide cases linked to depression and mental unwellness. While most of the people have talked about stories affecting couples, the elderly, and police officers, they forget to mention the young people, especially the university students, popularly referred to as the comrades. Young people suffer in silence because in the current society, it's a common notion for young people, especially men, to persevere everything that comes their ways, which is overlooked by parents.
Today's society has concentrated more on a girl child and neglected a boy child, but boys goes through a lot in a society and so they tend to be forgotten.
In 2017, Kenya was ranked 4th in as far as people living with depression is concerned by the World Health Organization. The number of suicide cases inherently rose up to 58%, 3/4 of the same being men. According to the World Health Organization, the mental state of the world's youth calls for concern, with depression reported to be the third highest disease burden among adolescents globally, a subject usually dealt with towards stigma and silence due to trust issues and lack of someone to share one's information with.
So why do you think right now depression is being solved by maybe stigmatization and silence?
In silence, let me say it's because of the trust issues, yeah.
Yes.
So just because of the trust issues and maybe lack of somebody to share your issues with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you see, like, and then you find that there are no centers maybe meant to deal with such issues.
Okay.
So people decide to go it on their own.
Globally, depression is the second leading cause of death, mainly through subsequent suicide among the youths aged between 20 and 29 years. These statistics projects the university students who are usually assumed and neglected by their parents who do not issue them with basic and psychological needs.
Ukosefu wa hela au matumizi na masomo kuwa ngumu. Nadhani unajua wazazi saa zingine hawaelewi mahitaji katika chuo kikuu, kwa hivyo wanatuma pesa kidogo na kwa hivyo mwanafunzi analazimika kuteseka.
Even if it's twice a week, call your child. It's not a must you tell them that I'm calling you today. Surprise them with calls. Just try and see how she's doing emotionally or he's doing emotionally.
Months cannot pass without receiving reports of suicidal attempt from a young person. For instance, in our investigation, 1 of every 4 students we have talked to has one time to have attempted suicide due to lack of basic needs, and people will always attribute it to relationship failure. The unbearable state has led most of the students to jungle between education and searching for a living by involving themselves in manual and part-time housekeeping jobs, which has led some of them traumatized. Relationship matters, which frequently considered basic in university, has contributed to a large number of depression-based suicide cases.
Mapenzi pia. Mapenzi imefanya watu wengi sana wajiue katika vyuo vikuu. Na nadhani hilo ndo sababu kuu hata kushinda pesa na masomo.
While others are looking for solution of curbing the depression issues, others decide to get themselves into drug and substance abuse in order to solve their problems. But the question we are asking ourselves, do really drugs help in combating mental unwellness?
So most of the people will decide to do drugs. So how can you tell that person?
I'll just say that drug is not an option because in case of alcohol, it's only for some hours you'll be high and you'll be feeling good, but then after that, the stress will be back. So it isn't an option. In fact, it's just draining you more than you thought. So it's just like, don't go for drugs. There are more better solutions than that.
Mental illness is something that can be solved, and so these students should seek help from various institutions that are dealing with this matter in order to curb these suicidal cases around the institution.
To the youth, adolescents, there are youth-friendly centers, and the youth-friendly centers are in referral hospitals, in the sub-county hospitals, so they can seek the same.
Research shows that most men suffer depression and mental illness with the institution, and while 1 in every 3 parents will always call their sons and daughters to check on them regularly, others don't care calling their sons and daughters.
So at first, I tried to contact some of them, and then it's like no one is concerned. So it happens like, then why am I the family among family members? Because it's very hard. Like, this your parent, this is your either uncle and go whatever. Right. But then contact him over. It gives no hope. Sometimes we go for it. So you find that it's very hard.
That was 2 months ago. Benson Kitonga, a third-year student who has been battling depression for 3 months before speaking out, tells us how the family members contributed to it.
It's a long story. Yeah. So there were other issues, and then school fee came around, and all the other things concerning about school. So it happened that I had to go contact my dad. And then he was like, just call me. Like, I'm here, I don't know what to do about it. But then he tells me, you hold on for like a week, you see no change, and then you're just there.
Apart from that, did you try to contact maybe your aunts, your mom, or your brothers to speak to him?
You know, sometimes when I tried to contact them, they were like, there is no way it can be. Like, they thought I'm kidding. And then I'm like, how comes it's more than a week and you're saying that kidding right here?
Most of the comrades decide to fight mental health issues by themselves because of ignorance and fear of trusting their inner circles.
Some of them are ignorant.
Yes.
Because they don't know what is expected when somebody is in that state.
Yes.
So the right protocol that they can use to find their help. Number 2.
Yes.
Some of them.
Yes.
Are afraid.
Yeah.
Are afraid that maybe of what people will say about their situation in which they are in. Because of, you find that some of them are man-made. They caused them by themselves. So they are afraid of maybe contemplating what people will see about it. So the aspect of stigma comes in.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that is also one of the reasons.
Yes.
And then another thing as to why people don't speak out or when they're in depression, because some people fear that when they speak it out, it will even worsen, because maybe he spoke to somebody who will instead of helping him, will go and spread the whole thing to others. So they fear it. So anaona in that case bora nyamazie.
So why did you decide not to tell anyone why you are feeling, bearing the fact that mental illness and depression is like a disease, and we have seen most of the people committing suicide over it?
Okay.
Especially the young people.
I couldn't just be honest with everyone about what I was going through, because the fact that you've stayed with your friends and you know how they behave,
yes,
you know that they cannot limit their mouths to some extent. So I just didn't feel good talking to them, because I didn't trust most of them. I just knew that today I tell this to her and the next thing I walk along the street and they'll be like, "Hey, ni yule msichana tuliambiwa kumuhusu." So that's what I just didn't want to.
I asked him why he decided to speak out after a certain period of time.
Unless it's at the end, never say that this is the end. Like, as for me, I decided to go silent, but then I suffered. But of late, I said, why should I just go on it? So I started opening up my friends, and then they were consoling me, and I started recovering like that.
His parents came to understand later what he was going through and decided to chip in.
So after that, after around 3 to 4 days, so my parents came through and understood, like, I'm really suffering. Yeah. And I don't know what I can tell.
With the status they hold in a society, some of the students prefer to fight depression by themselves because they think most of the people won't understand what they are going through, like for Grace Otieno and Purity Wanjohi.
Nilikuwa inanifanya nisi speak out. Nilikuwa naogopa. Nita speak out, yes. Lakini nita speak out, then hizi story nianze kuzisikia kwa kijiji au mtoto wa fulani. Pia status nilikuwa nazo kwa the society, kwa kijiji. Watu walikuwa wananichukulia huyu ni msichana mzuri, kwa hivyo hawezi expect nikuwe na fight such battles. Ni msichana mzuri, a Christian, amelelewa kanisani, babake ni mzee wa kanisa, hivyo ni kitu hawezi expect.
After 3 years of silence, Purity Wanjohi, who is a second year student, decided to meet us and talk to us about her life in depression.
For 6 months, she was battling depression and mental unwellness while her parents grew harsh on her, not knowing what she was going through. For them, they viewed it as an aftermath of adolescence.
Yeah, my parents, I guess walikuwa naona ni kama nimekuwa kichwa ngumu. Sijui walikuwa naichukulia aje. Juu wao instead ya kujaribu kunisaidia each and every day walikuwa na grow harsh kwangu. So nikaona hadi ile situation ya kukaa hapo home kila siku, like singeweza saa kuitolerate tena. Like walikuwa wanaona wazazi walikuwa wanaona ni kama sijui walikuwa wanachukulia ni kama nimegrow
just a stage.
Yeah, maybe ni adolescence inanisumbua, sijui nimekuwa manga. Hawakuwa wanaweza kunielewa.
The pressure at home exceeded until one day she decided to leave home after writing a suicidal note.
At one time, niliamua nikaandika a suicidal note. Then nilikuwa nimeamua hiyo siku lazima njitoe tu kwa hii familia juu siwezi endelea tu hivi, like bado sijapata mtu wa kuongelesha hii shida yangu. So nikaenda na huko mtoni, kulikuwa na huko kwetu kijijini kuna place kuna mto. So hiyo siku kulikuwa kumeflood, nilikuwa nimeamua leo lazima sasa njiue. So nilikuwa nishaamua kila kitu, nimejipanga, nikaenda nikavua slippers nilikuwa nimevaa. Sasa nikienda sasa just before nijirushe nikapatana na nyoka. Nyoka ilikuwa ni place kuna nini bushi. Nyoka akatoka huko ndani ya bush na pia nilikuwa muoga. mi kuona nyoka nikakimbia mbio.
Purity's parents are an example of the members in a society who do not understand about mental health and are judgmental, something that Dr. Mapesa, a clinician from Masai Mara University, talks about.
Any character change from this young people should be taken seriously by the parents. Whether your son or daughter is very talkative and the mood has changed, the parents should find out where the problem is.
Her story relates with that of Grace, who never shared her story to anyone but decided to battle the depression and mental health by herself while in her first year of study.
That I lost my mom, not my mom, basically my aunt. And then after 2 days I was also informed that my friend had just passed away because of sickle cell. And then I went into that thing. Okay, it wasn't that easy handling that. So I was just down there, just lonely. You cannot talk to anyone about it because you don't trust anyone with your story. And then you fear, like, I'll just tell them today and the next day I hear it outside, and that's what I really didn't want. But that thing was really eating me up. Yeah.
The two had a unique way of solving what was eating them up, though it may not work to everyone going through depression and mental health.
So I just decided to find something that I've never done before that would actually cheer me up and make me feel more lively, feel more person, more human. So I joined volleyball, and it was so good because they didn't know me over there. So you are new, everybody, so you're talking to everybody normally because nobody knows what you're going through. It was just fun, making jokes over there, playing every time.
Kuna time ilifika nikapata job pahali kwa shule fulani, na the madam mwenye alikuwa head wa hiyo shule ni kama alikam kurealize like sikuwa sawa. Kuna vile nilikuwa na behave, akaona sikuwa sawa, na she was a Christian. Alijaribu kuniongelesha, nilispeak out though halfly, juu si kitu nilikuwa ready ku speak out, kushare na watu. Na akanisaidia. Yes, ndio nikakam nikajoin campus. Nikapata pia huku kuna watu wamepitia the same situation na mimi.
According to the life experience they went through after joining campus, they have seen most of their friends trying to commit suicide and now are passing an awareness to the young generation who are going through a lot.
I put it, don't narrow your mind, open up your mind. There are many things that you can think of after that. I know it's hard because these are people that you've been spending almost all of your time with them, you're just used to them. But if you're in such a situation, open up your mind. It's not a must to be with them. There are many people who came into your life before, and there are people who will come after them. Like,
okay, kwa watu the young generation, kitu naweza wa advice, wacha tusikwe mindful, wacha to try to speak out tukiwa na shida. Tafuta besti, like huwezi kosa tu yule besti moja, huwezi kosa tu yule mtu mmoja mwenye atakusikiliza. Pia kwa hawa watu wengine, mtu akikuja ku open up kwako, have that listening ear, unamsikiliza, like kusikiza nini hiyo story ya mtu, at least it's half part of the healing.
Depression is characterized by, among others, sadness, loss of interest in pleasure, feeling guilty or low self-worth, loss of appetite, tiredness, and poor concentration. Depression can be long-lasting or recurrent, something substantial, impairing an individual's ability to function at work or school or even cope with the daily life, and can lead to suicide. But the university students mostly peer pressure and trying to fit in a group they can fit is one of the things that is really eating them up.
Self-identity is important. You should know yourself. Don't try to please people to fit in the society or in your cycle. Just be the person you are. I think, but then we are very different and we can't be the same.
Yeah.
And you should just understand yourself as a person. don't do something because somebody else is doing it. Probably the outcome in doing that won't be good.
Young men in these institutions are the mostly affected, according to Dr. Hassan Mapesa.
Why do you think most of the depression is killing most young men than the ladies? Yeah.
Men tend to keep themselves strong. It is difficult for a man to share what he is going through, unlike for ladies. Ladies cry to solve their problems and you can easily realize if they have a problem.
While filming this documentary, many students we talked to say they fear to share their stories to counselors since they do not conceal their story and use them as case studies. We decided to get information from different clinicians concerning the same.
As we were filming this documentary, most of the victims we talked to said that the counselors are not concealing their information. So as a clinician, what can you say about that?
In terms of concealing information, it depends with because in professionalism there is a part of professionalism of confidentiality. So when you learn about the confidentiality, then I don't think on my part I'm allowed to reveal any individual's information. Yeah, so it depends. Professionalism does not allow that.
The counselors they are referring to may not be professional counselors.
Yes.
Because I really think that if somebody was to talk to by maybe to say I'm a medical psychologist for that matter, he or she may get a better help than any other person, because this is somebody who is aware of what is taking place. He knows what is depression inside out. So lack of qualified people to take care of these people is one challenge.
Yes.
Because not everybody is a counselor, by the way. Yeah. So maybe they have been talking to people who pretend to be counselors, but then they are not counselors. So if they can get medical psychologists, trained counselors who can talk to them, keep them close, give them ways on which they can overtake that circumstances, can be very, very, very good.
Depression and mental illness is a dangerous disease that has taken the lives of many people in the country, and so according to various clinicians, the comrade needs to seek help by either finding someone to talk to or go to hospital to be counseled and even referred to some antidepressant that will enable them to succeed and come out of it.
Should there be anybody going in depression?
Yes.
He should find somebody to talk to.
Yes.
It can be a friend, it can be a parent, it can be a teacher, or any other relevant person in his or her life, or close person in his or her life, so that anybody undergoing depression to find somebody to talk to. Upon talking on a problem, there will be ways of overcoming it.
Okay.
And if they cannot find such a person, they should come to the hospital. They should come to an hospital. An hospital cannot miss to have somebody who can talk to them in regard to their condition. So on top of that,
okay.
Yes, on top of that, if the depression is so much that is overwhelming, or whichever the magnitude of it,
yes,
there are always drugs that somebody can be commenced on. Some drugs,
yes,
to help alleviate the problem, or to help the person life returns normal.
If possible, the comrades who have gone through the same should pass an awareness to others through creation of posters that portray importance of speaking out, and others should always find that friend they trust and speak to them in order to be helped.
So naona wale ambao wamezungumza wakasaidika wasaidie wengine kwa kuunda nitasemaje, they can make posters, they can talk to others, and tell them the importance ya kuzungumza and talking about your depression, kwa like kwa sababu imewasaidia, pia inaweza saidia wengine, waonyeshe watu the fact that they can speak out and they can be helped. Alafu sana sana hao watu ambao hawazungumzi wana end up kujiua. Nadhani watu kama hao wanaona kuwa marafiki hawasaidii, labda hawana wale marafiki wa karibu zaidi, lakini ningependa kuambia watu kama hao, it doesn't matter, hata mzazi wako, mama yako mwenyewe ni rafiki yako.
The institutions and the people of higher ranks in Kenya should engage therapists who will help the student with advice on how to solve what they are battling with.
Watu ambao wako katika hizo sekta za huko juu wanafaa kujihusisha zaidi na maisha ya wanafunzi. Walete, katika Kiingereza tunasema therapists. Walete therapists ambao watasaidia wanafunzi, ili mtu akiwa na shida ya mapenzi anaenda kumwona therapist, akiwa na shida ya hela anaenda kumwona therapist, akiwa na shida ya masomo anaenda kumwona therapist. And once you see a therapist anaweza guide through venye ya kung'ang'ana na shida ambayo uko nayo. Shida kama mapenzi, ukienda kuongelesha therapist atakwambia jinsi ya kujisaidia usiumie sana, jinsi ya kujisaidia kuendelea utakapoachwa na mpenzi wako, na hii mambo ya kujiua itapungua.
My name is Noah Esokon
and I am Hagai Okumu.